So here's the plan. I'm out here in Germantown on Friday afternoon. I took the afternoon off work, so I'm gonna have a great time. I'm gonna go about 23 miles, hopefully in around 4.5 hours, and it's gonna be an amazing time. So keep you updated as I go. We're on week number 4 in my Mohican 100-mile training, and things are going pretty well. All right, we'll check in a few. I'm up going up one of the first big hills here in Germantown, and what I decided is today we're gonna do something a little different. I'm going to do a review while I work out. So today we're gonna review the GoPro 8, GoPro Series 8 Black action camera. And I have had this camera now for several months, and I've had other cameras. I've had specifically 2 other cameras in the past year, and I'm going to offer some comparisons to those. But first, we're going to get into some of the basics of the GoPro Hero 8. This is not going to be a completely technical review. I'll try to offer what I know, but obviously I don't have a computer in front of me, so I won't remember everything. But here, let me get to the top of this hill and then we'll go. I have owned the GoPro Series 7 and the Insta360 1R, and now the GoPro Hero 8. I'll be doing some comparisons to those, but just initially to let you know, I really like the 8. It's not a whole lot better than the 7, but it's a whole lot better than the Insta360 1R, and I'll tell you more about that later. All right, so the GoPro Hero 8 is excellent for outdoor activity, for running, biking, basically any outdoor activity you might want to do, which I'm sure you've heard already. That's what GoPro is known for. I use it for trail running. I use it to document my adventures out in the woods, and sometimes I even use it for family type activities like vacations and things like that. So with the GoPro Hero 8, you've got up to 4K image resolution. You've got up to 240 frames per second, and then you have different settings for image stabilization, and that's electronic image stabilization, not optical image stabilization. So it's not mechanical, it's electronic, but it does very well. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention. It has a couple different color profiles you can use, and it has wind elimination technology. Works pretty well. Maybe we can test it out here in a few minutes. All right, so this is without wind correction. And this is with wind correction. So I don't know if you can really tell the difference, but we'll find out. I bring up the electronic image stabilization because that really is a huge selling point with the GoPro. You can take this little black box about this big, you'll see pictures in a few minutes, and you can run wherever, you can go wherever, you can swim, you can skydive, and it will stay relatively smooth. The idea is that the viewer can be in the action with you, and that's the beauty of a GoPro. about 9 miles into this run, and thought I'd add a few more things about the GoPro Hero 8 Black. Number one, it has the normal attachment points that the GoPros have. Some like it, some don't. I think I'll give them kudos for sticking with what they've got with the threaded screw approach they use. I will say this, they did a great job on the 8 by making it much more streamlined. Now you don't have to use the plastic cage attachment to be able to connect it to anything. It has 2 permanently fixed attachment points on the bottom of the actual camera now, so that's really nice. Much better than the old way, which was kind of annoying, I thought. So anytime you have a selfie stick or any kind of tripod or anything, you can just attach it straight to the camera, straight to the actual GoPro. So that's great. They fold up nicely to the body and they don't really cause a problem. They don't flop around or anything, and they stay flush with the rectangular GoPro box. So that's really nice. So, you know, I guess the biggest selling point with the GoPro, and that's why I spent so much time on it earlier, is the electronic image stabilization. Well, now with the 8, they call it boost. So they have no stabilization, Hypersmooth, Hypersmooth Plus, or Hypersmooth High, and then they have boost, which is the highest. And it's really nice. I think it works very well. It uses more battery, and you can only activate boost when you have the special blue and black battery that they have. All right, so this is Hypersmooth off. This is Hypersmooth on. The next level up. This is Hypersmooth High, which is one more level above. And this is boost, which is the highest level of electronic image stabilization on the GoPro Hero 8 Black. Anyway, a lot of good things with the Hero 8 Black. I guess I should also mention, I don't know with the 8 if they did the same thing, but with the 7, they have the Hero 7 Silver and the Hero 7 White. The Silver and the White just are cheaper cameras. They have a lot of the same features, but I think one of the big things they don't have is boost or Hypersmooth. So, but they're very, very good cameras too. So. What I just showed you was time warp. It's a pretty cool feature that I think is exclusive to GoPro. It's kind of like a time lapse, except they smooth it out and you can really, you warp through. You feel like you're moving steadily, and they also include their stabilization, so it really is a smooth experience. So that's another cool little toy that you get with the GoPro Hero 8. I am about 14 miles into my run. I've got about 7 more. I'm gonna shoot for 21, I think. I said 23, but I'll just do 21. I'm gonna head on over to Twin Creek to get the remainder of my miles. But I wanted to go over a couple more things on the Hero 8 Black. So usually, you know, I like to do a couple things that I like, a couple things that I don't like so much. So let's talk about the things I like first. Number one, image quality. I think the image quality of the Hero 8 Black is just really top notch. I love the richness of the colors. I like that it's a little more contrasty than some other cameras, but I actually love that. So image quality, it's crisp, especially to 4K. This is in 4K, you be the judge, but I think it's really clear. Number two, I would say, is image stabilization. So electronic image stabilization. I've gone on and on about that. I don't need to add too much more, except to say that it's very steady. The boost even makes it even more steady than the Hero 7 that I used to own. So image stabilization is right up there. That's number 2. It's just a lot of fun to work with, and it makes it much nicer and easier for the viewer when they're trying to watch your videos after the fact. And I guess my final positive is toughness. This camera is extremely tough. It's long lasting. It has a rubber coating on the outside, so it has a good grip. You could drop this and it's going to be just fine. So toughness is awesome. It's waterproof. I mean, really waterproof. You can take it in the pool, you can put it in a creek and run over the creek. I've done that. You can have it sit next to a creek and splash it. So really, really nice. And we'll go over a couple negatives in just a few minutes. I don't know why, but this kind of reminds me of a scene on The Walking Dead. Oh wow. Well, this is interesting. Okay. This kind of came up all of a sudden, and almost, this wood is pretty darn rotten. Ah. Oh boy. Oh my. Kids, if you see this, please do not do it. Do as I say, not as I do. Now to the negatives. There really aren't a whole lot of negatives with the Hero 8 Black. I would say that one of the major negatives with the Hero 8 Black is the lens cap, or the lens filter. With all of the other GoPros, up until the 7, you could remove it. So if it cracked or something happened to it, you could always replace it. With the Hero 8 Black, for some reason, they decided not to allow you to do that. In fact, unless you buy the protection plan, you have to actually buy a new GoPro if you crack that filter cover. So huge disadvantage. Just this past week, the Hero 9 came out and they gave you a replaceable lens cap again. So for the Hero 8, you don't get that, but for me, it's not too much of an issue. I guess the only other disadvantage I would say with the Hero 8 Black is you get what you get. So there's no 360 module, there's no modules. And that's something that I'd like to mention real quick. In between the 7 and the 8, the Hero 7 and the Hero 8, I went and I bought an Insta360. Now we'll see if the wind, correction is helpful here, because it's getting really windy. But the Insta360 1R is a pretty interesting camera, but I'd say that the main reason why I sold it and went back to my GoPro is, number one, the image quality was lower. It was still the same resolution, still 4K or 1080p, whatever you chose, but for some reason it was lower and seemed a little bit grainier. The colors are more muted, and I think some people like that, but I didn't. I like the more contrasty, I like the more bright and vivid colors that the GoPro offers. It's just a different image, and so for me, that was a huge disadvantage of the Insta360 1R. The other disadvantage to me was the fact that it was modular, and that's supposed to be one of the benefits of the Insta360 1R. It has a little battery module, and it has a camera, and then sort of the brain module, and it's 3 different sections that get put together. And it works okay, it doesn't fall apart, but for some reason I found it to be annoying. For me, the GoPro is just so nice because it is what it is. I don't have to mess with it, it's not gonna fall apart, not that the Insta360 did. So I like the GoPro. The final thought would be the Hero 9 just came out, and I would also compare this to the Hero 9 real quick. I have not handled the Hero 9. I can't say much about it because I haven't owned it, haven't even held it, but I have heard from other people who have that it's heavier and bigger, and I'm not so sure if I would like that. One of the big benefits of the Hero 8 was that it was a little bit lighter than the Hero 7. So I really like my Hero 8. I hope you enjoy it too. It's worked very well for me. I like it a lot. I highly recommend it. Like I said, there were a couple things that I didn't like so much about it, but for the most part, it's a really nice tool, and it's what I use for almost all my videos. So if you like the video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try to do more reviews of electronics and things like that. I like my electronics, so I have plenty of things that I can review, and I hope you find it useful. So thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.